Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're venturing deep into the second largest rainforest on Earth to uncover a massive creature that has managed to remain hidden from humanity for millions of years. We are talking about the African forest elephant. This is an animal whose entire body, family structure, and way of life have been perfectly shaped by the dense, mysterious world it calls home. To really wrap our heads around this, we first need to understand the sheer scale of their home. The Congo Basin is a staggering wilderness. It spans across 6 Central African countries and is actually larger than the state of Alaska. It's threaded with tens of thousands of kilometers of waterways, making it one of the most impenetrable and least understood environments on the planet. I mean, it is a literal green wall of vegetation to anyone trying to navigate it. And it's right here, in this sprawling, isolated wilderness, that our hidden giants evolved in absolute secrecy. To truly understand these magnificent creatures, we're going to follow a clear path today. We'll look at the hidden rainforest giants themselves, compare them to their savanna cousins, explore how they survive the toxic rainforest diet, dive into the bustling social hubs known as bayis, and finally, uncover their vital role as the gardeners of the rainforest. So let's jump right into part 1, the hidden rainforest giants. Finding these elephants is incredibly difficult in that thick green wall of trees. You could literally be standing mere feet away from a forest elephant and never even know it's there. But here is the truly mind-blowing part. The African forest elephant actually split from its well-known savanna cousin a staggering 3.5 million years ago. Think about that for a second. That is an immense amount of evolutionary time. Because they've been isolated in this drastically different tropical environment for all those millions of years, they've developed completely distinct behaviors, physical traits, and survival mechanisms compared to the elephants we're so used to seeing on TV. And that massive evolutionary timeline leads us perfectly into part 2, savanna vs. forest elephants. Because of that extreme isolation, they are practically completely different animals. The forest elephant has straighter tusks and is noticeably smaller, which is absolutely perfect for slipping silently through dense, thorny bushes like a shadow. Their ears are super unique too. They're perfectly round, giving them this almost cute Mickey Mouse-style look. And if you look closely, their eyes are actually a striking pale yellow. But honestly, perhaps the most shocking difference is their sound. Or rather, the lack of it. Savanna elephants are loud, right? They constantly rumble, roar, and communicate noisily. Forest elephants, on the other hand, are almost completely silent. They move like phantoms. Even mothers and their babies stay totally quiet just to avoid drawing any attention to themselves. Sadly, there's a pretty dark reason for that dead silence and their intense fear of humans. Their highly valuable ivory tusks have led to a devastating 85% population drop in just the last 30 years due to poaching. Their tusks, which can actually grow up to 5 feet long, are made of this darker, harder ivory that is tragically highly prized. Because of this relentless threat, these naturally elusive animals have learned to fear us deeply. When they encounter people, they do not stick around. They vanish instantly right back into the thick brush. So how do they survive and bounce back in such a harsh environment? Let's get into part 3, surviving the rainforest diet. Now, the rainforest might look like this massive, lush, all-you-can-eat buffet, but it's actually a complete minefield of toxic plants. Mothers have to meticulously teach their calves exactly what is safe to eat, carefully balancing dangerous leaves with seasonal fruits and, believe it or not, even intoxicating plants. Many leaves out there contain deadly poisons designed specifically to keep animals away. If an elephant eats too much of one type, it's fatal. So mothers teach their families to just take a little bit here and a little bit there. They also have this incredible internal map of over 100 different seasonal fruits, knowing exactly when and where they'll ripen. They'll even munch on iboga, which is a plant highly valued by locals for its intoxicating effects. So yeah, it suggests these elephants might occasionally be seeking out a bit of an altered state. And when it comes to hunting down those sweet calories, the bachelor males execute this wild 3-step process in the dead of night. Since they only need about 2 hours of sleep, these young guys use the darkness to forage. Step 1. They track the scent of calorie-rich, ripe fruit from miles away, using smell receptors that are remarkably twice as powerful as a dog's. Step 2. They locate the fruit, which is often dangling 50 feet high in a palm tree, totally out of reach. So, step 3, they have to get creative. They slam their massive 3-ton bodies directly into the tree trunk, violently shaking the whole thing until the ripe fruit drops to the ground like a jackpot. Then they just use the tiny sensory hairs on their trunks to sweep up every last piece in the dark. But all those leaves and fruits are missing one critical ingredient, which brings us to part 4. Berries, the social salt hubs.
As we see defined here, a bai is a treeless, marshy clearing within the dense rainforest. It is essentially the downtown metropolis of the jungle. It pulls in elephants from miles and miles away who desperately need deeply buried minerals for their brains and muscles. You see, a baby elephant gets everything it needs from its mother's milk, but the adults, they have a dire need for essential salts that the forest plants just cannot provide. Some elephants travel incredibly long distances, even migrating toward the Atlantic coast just to find salt. But for those deep in the interior, these naturally occurring bais are absolute lifesavers.
Actually getting that salt, though, isn't easy at all. Watch how an elephant transforms its trunk into an absolute multi-tool to extract these hidden nutrients. Under the cover of night, again, to avoid poachers, a bull will enter the bai. The minerals are trapped deep down in the riverbed sediment. First, he acts like a jackhammer, blasting a powerful jet of air out of his trunk to forcefully break up the hard earth. Then he acts like a cup, swirling that loose sediment with groundwater to brew this rich, salty mud soup. Finally, he becomes a straw, suctioning up the liquid without wasting a single precious drop. This is a vital survival skill. Young elephants actually have to practice for years to learn how to coordinate the 40,000 muscles in their trunks just to pull off this exact technique. But beyond just salt, gathering places like the famous Janga Bai are so much more. They host over 200 elephants daily, acting as a noisy arena where young bulls wrestle for dominance and 90-kilo newborns feel the deep vibrations of their loud socializing relatives. Think about it. These animals spend months completely isolated in tiny family units, hidden in dense, quiet foliage. When they finally step out into a massive space like Janga Bai, it's a huge family reunion. It's safe here, so they totally drop that eerie silence. They rumble, they roar, they catch up. Young bulls lock tusks to test their strength and figure out the social hierarchy. And for a tiny, week-old calf, the sheer noise and physical vibrations of 200 giant relatives can be a lot, but it is exactly where they learn the crucial social skills they'll need for a lifetime.
Having explored their hidden lives and these bustling societies, we've finally reached the climax of our explainer. Part 5, Gardeners of the Rainforest.
Everything we've talked about culminates in an ecological service that is literally vital to the planet. Scientists refer to them as the gardeners of the rainforest. And once you see how they manipulate their environment, you'll see why that title is so incredibly fitting. They don't just exist passively inside the forest. They're actively shaping it every single day. Just look at their daily landscaping work. By clearing out the underbrush and spreading seeds, they aren't just living in the forest. They are literally building it. When they get frustrated, they'll ram trees with their tusks. Now that seems destructive, right? But it actually carves out holes and crevices that smaller species rely on for shelter. Plus, because they eat massive amounts of fruit and travel miles every single day, their dung is the single most effective seed dispersal system in the entire forest. Entire generations of fruit trees sprout exactly where elephants leave them. And their sheer size really matters. As they walk, they crush smaller competing plants, acting as natural weed control. Over centuries, they have trampled complex networks of highways through the jungle, perfectly maintained paths leading right from the food sources to the base. And here is the ultimate twist to all this heavy-duty gardening. By constantly crushing the small shrubs and weeds, the elephants eliminate the competition for water and sunlight. This allows the surviving canopy trees to grow unbelievably tall and massive. And why does that matter to us? Because these gigantic trees act like massive carbon sponges, pulling devastating greenhouse gases right out of the atmosphere. Because of the elephants' daily landscaping, the Congo Basin has become the Earth's most vital lungs, heavily outperforming the Amazon in carbon storage. They are, quite literally, regulating the climate of our entire world. So, I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. If the health of the Earth's lungs depends directly on the gardening of the African forest elephant, how does ensuring their survival ultimately guarantee our own? Preserving these elusive giants isn't just about saving an animal. It is about protecting the very breath of our shared planet. The African forest elephant, living silently in the shadows, navigating toxic buffets, and socializing under the stars, is the absolute bedrock of an ecosystem that keeps the Earth functioning. If we give them the space and protection they need from poaching, a young calf can live for 70 years, becoming a matriarch, a grandmother, and a true guardian of the rainforest. And by guarding the rainforest, they are guarding all of us. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey to the heart of the Congo Basin.